Put up that Hex article I came across. So this is Investopedia. I think it's supposed to be a good source. I don't really know after reading this. I don't know how old this article is, but it was just recently updated December 15th, 2023. And I came across it and I thought it was super interesting because I know a lot of people who are wanting to like new onboards getting into Hex. They're going to do the research and it's going to start at Google and it might stop at Google too. So whatever Google has to say is, we'll see, right? So this article, it goes over what is Hex. Hex is an Ethereum token itself. It positions itself as a blockchain certificate of deposit. That's what Richard says. That's sort of what the website says. It also says users receive more Hex if they wait to redeem the token, incentivizing them to hold for long periods of time. Now, this is like true, and it's kind of written out of context. And a lot of this article is written out of context. Like they'll say things that are kind of true, but they're written out of context to make it sort of seem bad. Because if you frame it like in a way where like you lock up your Hex for T-shares and that transfers value from essentially you to the liquid holders in a way, and you sort of get to accrue that value later with the inflation and through delayed gratification. But it doesn't say that here really. Like it just talks about how like if you wait a long time you can earn more Hex, and that kind of like makes it sound like a Ponzi scheme a little bit. But lots of this stuff here, it's technically right. Like the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged the founder with defrauding investors and selling unregistered securities connected to the Hex ecosystem. I'm not sure if he's been charged yet. I'm not exactly sure of all the details, but I know they're trying to serve him still. I think I don't know if that police warrant or whatever it was in Helsinki. I don't know if it counted. I heard a couple of things sort of both ways. I'm leaning towards there has to be a judge that decides whether it counts or not, and I think that's sort of the verdict on that, but not 100% sure. But yeah, it uses Hex's model rewards token holders, not miners or validators. So this is not necessarily true either. Like Hex incentivizes stakers, or I don't know if it's stakers or miners. I don't know what we're supposed to say nowadays, but it says staking periods range from 1 day to 555, with longer stakes yielding higher rewards. It would be nice if this article would clarify why you would earn longer rewards with a longer lockup period, right? It might go over a little bit, like it talks a little bit about the T shares and stuff like that, but in terms of sort of even this stuff, like Hex has acknowledged that the project deploys tactics that a scam might use. So Richard has said some things like that, but like I think the way they word this and in the context, like they make it sound a little bit weird. And it also says Hex's boasted returns as high as 11,500% in advertisements. I don't think that was Richard Hart advertising. That might have been Hexicans advertising like the last couple or the last year of price performance or something like that. And I'm not sure like if Richard's ever been like, yeah, buy this coin, you'll make 11,500%. Like I don't know if that was ever like part of the narrative there. But
a lot of
go
this
ahead.
stuff is just copy and paste 401k. Like most of the stuff in there, copy. I mean, it's what I was looking over the article you sent it to me too, and I was thinking, okay, it's completely. I mean, there's very little facts. It's mostly just conjecture from
Yeah,
someone like reading something or articles or otherwise, or maybe they Googled at a
I
certain
think they
point in time and
Googled.
found this
Yeah,
stuff, and they came up with this. And it's the key takeaways is just like not even related. Like, can you go to the key takeaways for a second? Let's see what
key
like
is
they want. I think it's near the bottom of the article.
near the bottom.
This is supposed to be what they want people to take away from reading. This
The
is supposed to be
bottom
the cliff
line.
notes. I thought they said key takeaways somewhere. Did not have that on there. Thought I read key takeaways. It had like 3 points on it.
Key
Yeah.
takeaways.
Oh, the first part. Okay. So what's it say? Can you zoom in
Yeah,
on
I
that?
can.
Yeah. So Hex is Ethereum token market stuff is blockchains. Okay. So the first one, and then the second one, Hex promised Hex holders with financial rewards held on. It's like, why are you even saying it that way? Like,
Right.
why isn't that anything else? Anything else can promise any other holder financial rewards if they held onto it, like the S&P 500 or anything else. I mean, like promised, as in, first of all, promise is not the word to use. But second of all, every other thing in the world that goes up over time is the same thing. Like, why is that? Why'd you say it like that? And then the SEC one is just Is that a key takeaway? I mean, that's definitely a
That's a
note.
key
That's something to
takeaway.
know about. But like, how is that a key takeaway? No,
And
it seems very biased for sure.
I think so. Like I'm not, and it even says here on the article, written by Nathan and reviewed and fact checked. So this is reviewed and fact checked somehow, and it just comes across like this. In terms of Hex, promised Hex holders with financial rewards if they hold onto and didn't sell the token for a long period of time. Like he said, this is completely out of context. Hex has a smart contract that'll pay you in Hex, right? It has nothing necessarily to do with the dollar, right? You could trade Hex for dollars in a liquidity pool that's completely separate than the smart contract that Hex, like that you mine or stake your Hex with, but that has really nothing to do with like you don't, in terms of rewards, it makes it sound like you're receiving dollars in returns for not selling your Hex, but you're actually just receiving Hex for not selling your Hex. So yeah, it's a little bit weird. Even
Well,
down here, go ahead.
I was going to say that. Can you scroll back up there just for a second? The literally the next line, the next sentence, Hex's model rewards token holders, not miners value. That's not even factually correct. Like it rewards miners, aka stakers. Like what is this about? What is this about? And I just want to mention this too. Timothy in the chat says, I believe this article was first published during the year 1 of Hex, which makes sense. During a lot of that, it's not a lot of very interesting articles came out around that time. And I bet they just updated it recently for the SEC stuff. Just another key takeaway here. I wonder what the previous key takeaway was. I bet it was even cooler. So,
And
anyways.
I think there was other articles. I wish I had it, but there was like the best FUD article you would have ever seen written about Hex, and it was posted exactly at the bottom of the chart. And you could see like I wish I had it with me, but you could see like the article date posted, and then you could go look at the chart, and it was just right at the bottom. Like you could have made hundreds, thousands of X's if you had purchased the Hex token, but instead the article is like, no, scam.
Wow. Like literally what you highlighted is like the key piece of this whole thing. If you read nothing else, if you analyze not a single other sentence in this entire article, this is completely wrong. In fact, it's opposite. It punishes holders, if anything. If you hold liquid hex, you're getting diluted by inflation. That's why you
Exactly.
would stake it or mine it. Like, what is this? Is this like opposite article day? Like, what is this? It's
And it says token
not factually
holders.
correct.
Um, and it talks about how if you're holding the Hex token, I guess you can earn more yield or whatever in Hex, earn more rewards in Hex. That's not even true either, because you'd have to like convert that to T shares, right? So like you're not, no Hex holder yourself, like you'd have to hold T shares in order to make a reward. So no Hex holder is making any rewards whatsoever. Maybe price appreciation, but that's not like an incentive, or that is an incentive to hold, but that's not like a mining incentive. That's not
Exactly.
like a staking or something like that, right?
A
So
very pedestrian take on Hex that unfortunately didn't have a lot of good cited sources, if any. I'm sure they cited a couple things, but it's probably just other articles that didn't dig into Hex too much. But I mean, how to compare this to? Did you want to? So what do you use to look up stats? Do you like T-share data? Do you like look into Hex? What do you look at to show like the strength of the power of Hex? Maybe we could like show people that, just to be like all the stuff in the article. That's not what you should be looking at. You should be looking at the actual data here.
here's apphex.win. This is a beautiful site. I haven't really showcased it in a while, but I think this like goes over everything perfectly. You have the one hex price on both PulseChain and Ethereum. You have the share rate and sorry, you don't have the share rate, but you have the cost of a T share and your payout per T share in US dollars. So I think this website is perfect site if you want to take a look at some of the stats. It's not really loading for me right now. Let me just refresh it.
100% uptime.
Anyways, what I wanted to talk about was if you take a look at the T-shares data here, we can see that PulseChain is the purple or the pink. Can't really see what color that is, and the Ethereum was the blue at the bottom there, and basically Ethereum has less T-shares in circulation, which means that if there's less T-shares and Hex inflates at 3.69%, if you have T-shares on Ethereum, you're getting paid a little bit more than the same T-share over on PulseChain. Not only that, the T-share is a little bit more expensive on PulseChain. So if you had $150, you could buy a whole T-share on Ethereum and stake it for a day, which you probably shouldn't do because of the gas fees. But if you would need $300 over on the Pulse chain to get an entire T-share. Not only that, on Ethereum, the yield looks like it's going to be better, and it's going to continue to be better because I think more people are going to be wanting to stake on the Pulse chain, and there's less T-shares on the Ethereum chain, meaning that the same amount of, let's say there's a 60 million hex tokens or 60 billion hex tokens a year being inflated. Those are going to be given out to less stakers or less T-shares, meaning that each of those T-shares is going to receive a bigger chunk of the change. So this website I think is super cool. You can look at the expiring stakes. You can see on which days lots of the stakes are coming out. T-share rate. I think many people forget, and many people are sleeping on the T-share rate. And once we see this over 100,000, that's going to take us a long time. As you can see on the chart here, it's going to be like 2030 until we reach 100,000. But once we reach 100,000 T-share rate, I think Hex is going to be in a lot different of a spot, and you're going to start to see T-shares on both Ethereum and Pulse chain become like very like priceless like items. Like Hex is the store of value on the networks. That's at least what it's supposed to be. So we're gonna see, I think, at 100,000 T-share rate, even at 50,000, 75,000 T-share rate, once this starts ratcheting up, we're going to start to see more scarcity, because if people want those T-shares, which people love earning yield, right? That's what DeFi is. Like, people love chasing green candles, and they love chasing yield, whether it's farming or staking or mining, whatever it is, they love chasing yield. And I think T-shares are going to start producing cash like they used to back in the bull market, because you used to be able to get 60-cent T-shares and they rose up to 10,000, right? And then plus if you are making all that interest on top of that. So this is a beautiful system when you actually look at the monetary policy of it. Even in this article, it talks about this Hex token is supposed to have superior monetary policy to Bitcoin. That is true, and I think it is true. Like, it has a better inflation model, right? It inflates less. Instead of miners in Bitcoin having to earn their reward and sell down the price, miners or stakers in Hex's case they're incentivized to hold up the price, right, and not sell it down. It's completely different stuff. Even when you look at PulseChain, just to take a quick look at that, Ethereum used to be proof of work. So any of the miners who used to do their mining would have to theoretically sell their Ethereum for electricity costs to like make sure they're profitable and not just spending money on electricity. And it still managed to do like 30,000x from 15 cents to like $3,000. I think that's a 30,000x. So insane price appreciation with miners selling down the price. PulseChain is a fork of ETH 2.0 with better tokenomics, right? So it has inflation, but it also has deflation. And miners in PulseChain don't necessarily have to sell to basically make their electricity costs, because it's proof of stake now, right? So completely different systems, and we might see this play out, especially if PulseChain becomes deflationary in the bull market, plus there's all this like narrative and hype around it. We could see insane stuff surrounding the layer one, because usually layer ones tend to perform quite well,